All right, guys, welcome to week 6. We're well on our way to getting done with this thing. So this will be a short lecture. In the last 3 lectures will not be as quite as important to you as early on. There are more things you just need to know about research, but we're going to talk about today, what do we do once we've completed research. Once we have it done, we've got our results, we've written up our findings, which you won't do in this class, but just the process of what happens. And so kind of depends on really where you are in your career. So there's a couple of processes really. You can, once you complete it, if you're looking at it from an academic standpoint, you can give a presentation at a conference, you can publish in a journal, which a lot of you guys have been reading that stuff from doing your own research, or you can publish your results through alternative type stuff, meaning mainly for practitioners, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a second. These are just some real big academic conferences. Again, probably won't apply to you guys as much, but it's something that you just need to understand about the process. So when you go to one of these conferences, they put out basically a call for papers several months in advance, and they get a deadline, and you really have a couple of really possibilities. You can do an oral presentation, which is, you stand up and speak about your research. They're usually somewhere between 50 to 25 minutes. You can do a more of a symposium type of deal, which is a longer type presentation. Or you can do a poster presentation where you create a poster and people walk around and ask you about your research. And I've had to go through this process. I'm still going through this process, and it's really frustrating, guys. You try to match your research up with the proper journal, and you send it in, and then you wait to hear what the process is. And a lot of times it takes months to hear about it. For instance, I submitted one in August, and I still haven't heard anything about it. So it's a little bit of a process. But essentially, they're going to ask all for the same things. You're going to have to do a title, an abstract, an introduction, a review of lit, a research methods, which should all sound familiar to you because that's what you're doing in this class. But then the second part of it is really where you write up your research, your results, your discussion. You talk about future research, and a lot of these places ask for a specific style, mainly APA, but occasionally it'll be a different style. What's more probably useful for you guys, and this is really where your research is headed, is writing it for practitioners. So one of my biggest pet peeves about academics is that a lot of the research does nothing to help people who are actually working in the practical day-to-day part of sport. And so that's why I'm trying to steer some of you guys toward a topic that is more applicable to, for instance, coaches, or for instance, universities, or athletic departments, or whatever it is you're looking at, or just in general to people who are dealing with sport on a day-to-day basis. Not say that you could not easily turn some of your research, if you conducted it, into an article, absolutely. But we want to think about how can we help people who are kind of in the trenches, so to speak, give them kind of data and stuff to help them do their job better. And I think that's really how we can make research more practical. And that's what I've wanted to do in this class, is kind of steer you toward that process. Just some things in general that you need to consider with your research and any research is you want to kind of go through this list of stuff. You want to make sure, when you do your references, that they're right. If you're confused on how to do those references, you can ask me, I can help you, or there are programs like Citation Machine that will do it for you. They'll simply create the citation. You just have to copy and paste it and make sure that it's in Times New Roman. But these are kind of things they'll be looking for. And just the kind of the process, so you know it if you were to submit it to a journal, is You're going to send it in, and basically the editor of that journal is going to send it to 2 to 3 people to review. And it'll take them usually a couple of months, up to 3 months, even up to a year, to provide you a report on what it is. And basically they tell you, they give you several kind of things. They accept it. They accept it if you make the revisions they ask for. They want you to revise it and resubmit it, or they just reject it right there. And this back and forth process it takes a while. And it ends with really only 1 or 2 possibilities. Either it's accepted or rejected. And if it's accepted, it ends up being published. And if it gets rejected, you can simply edit it and then submit it to another journal. Some of the times I've had them rejected because they just didn't think it was a good fit for their journal, not that it was a bad paper. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what you can do. For this week's post, I'm going to ask you some more specifics about what you can do with your research.